All right. Welcome back, brothers, tourists, and ladies, to another episode of Pony Express Radio, the greatest show in Slopland in the modern day. We have moved beyond clown world. We are in slop world. Who knows what kind of things are waiting for us this week?
The mind beggars.
It reels. Before we introduce the panelists, we're going to blast out these ads here. Blast some nicotine straight into your brain with Alp nicotine pouches. Please use the link in the description. It helps fund our meager little operation here. Same thing goes for Fox and Sons. You need that nicotine caffeine mix. I know that Alp does like the caffeine pouches, but let's be real. I mean, coffee is just a better way of getting it. It's just more enjoyable. So use the link in the description for Fox and Sons. Use code OGC at checkout for a certain percentage off. It's great coffee. Everyone drinks it. You should be part of everyone. Axios Remote Fitness and Coaching, code OGC when you sign up. It's a fitness program designed specifically for your wreck of a body to help it look and feel as good as possible. Summer is upon us, boys, and there's no time too late to start your fitness journey. Check out MS Vendrio. He is the official haberdasher and menswear expert of the Old Glory Club. He can make a suit that makes anyone, no matter how misshapen, look good. So do reach out to him. It's a bit of work to get something this high end. So treat yourself to getting your measurements taken. And finally,
an extremely misshapen person can confirm.
Same. I didn't know that my left bicep was smaller than my right until he measured me up, and now I can never look at myself the same.
Interesting.
And last but not least, Tall Men Books, our good friend George Bagby, printing all the works that should not have ever fallen out of print and help you remember that which should not have been forgotten. So do check out Tall Men Books and lend him your patronage. So joining us this week is Oberon Quinn. How are you, sir?
Doing passing well. How are yourself?
Oh, wonderful on this side. It's warm. It's humid. We're getting started over here. And joining us for the first time from the Sons of Wisconsin, Mr. Paladin Noir. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I'm doing very well.
Oh, that's great. I mean, not to be confused with Paladin YYZ, another excellent friend to the club. But
we love all our paladins here at the Old Glory Club.
Yes, no matter what color or indistinguishable letter combination they might have. So jumping into this week in slop world, it looks like, the Trump administration seems to have given up on deportations. We've got some token deportations here and there. He wants to focus only on the ones who have already committed violent crimes against Americans. So not the ones who are going to do that, but the ones who already have, in order to get the optics under control, as if that's even gonna matter. But speaking of the worst optics imaginable, here we have Democrat paramilitary Antifa doing vehicle checks on federal law enforcement. Let's watch a portion of this video here.
Lock arms. Lock arms. Somebody needs to record. We need to record in case there's violence. We're not moving. Yep.
Just in case.
We'll let them out as long as we can make some money.
Please, let's see.
It's good. Okay, right. Make sure to let him go. Okay. Oh, let me hold on. You're good.
Empty.
You guys are the deal. You're amazing. Thank you.
It's good.
All right, that's enough self-congratulation. I don't know if I can handle much more of that. So what we're watching here, for those just listening or for those who aren't up on this story, is I believe this is in New Jersey, a New Jersey ICE facility, where Antifa members are acting as I don't know what you could say. They're in charge of ICE because they are forcing ICE to stop and have the vehicles searched before they are allowed to go in and out of their own facility. Uh, Guys, I don't know what this is other than a complete loss of control on the part of the federal executive.
No, the essence of sovereignty is the monopoly on violence, and when private persons are able to actually obstruct the operations of the state, then what you have is a challenge to that state's sovereignty. And to the extent the federal government allows this to go on, it's we're not a real country anymore. This is the breakdown of the legitimacy of the federal government, which, in some ways, some in our quarters might celebrate. But the fact that it's being done in deference to a communist insurgency is just utterly disastrous.
Well, 100%. And, I think the real problem is not the breakdown of the federal government's ability to control things. That'd be great if it were in our favor, but the problem is that it's never in our favor. And it's really nothing new, right? People on the left have been allowed to break the law like this for decades and be rewarded for it. Really, at the end of the day, they might get performatively arrested for a little while, but maybe even spend some time in prison. But at the end of it, they end up rich and famous and all kinds of things. Bill Ayers would be, exhibit A of that. So this has got to end. Somebody's got to have the will to end it, and it's pretty sad that we don't have somebody in place to do that.
Yeah, I mean, this is for a couple of months now. This show has been talking about the federal government losing its legitimacy across the board. I mean, directly related to this, when the executive government of Minnesota acted in defiance with this paramilitary group against the federal executive, it was not. Nothing came down on them. There were no consequences for this. In fact, the federal executive capitulated. I guess so. I mean, this is just a continuation, and like you both said, the more chilling aspect is that they're capitulating to communist insurgents and people whose driving goal it seems to be to destroy the United States and replace, its founding stock. But there's another argument to be made, and I just saw that there's somebody masked up in a hoodie and a wheelchair there. That's hilarious. But anyway, I think another angle to this is that there's a lot of talk that the reason that the Trump administration can't or won't start cracking down on Antifa despite having designated them a foreign terrorist organization, which of course they are, is because the Democrat Party is Antifa is the paramilitary arm of the Democrat Party. There are politicians, there are mayors, there are governors who actively work with Antifa all across the country and support them, and that if they were to start actually going after the apparatus that allows Antifa to operate and funds them, they'd have to start arresting, congressmen and senators and these other high-ranking politicians. So this just goes. It's another kind of blow against the Trump administration for those who voted for him in hopes that he would actually do something to save us from these lunatics that have entrenched themselves in our government. He's obviously not doing anything of the sort.
No, if you ask Antifa, they'll tell you they're a revolutionary organization. And what we are witnessing is the development of a organization that is capable and willing to use violence. And To this point, the violence has been sporadic. I'm thinking of the incident at the beginning of the Trump administration when 16 Antifa people tried to set up an ambush outside an ICE facility. They fortunately were prosecuted, but this ongoing low-level terrorism against law and order is exactly what you would expect to see from a revolutionary movement. So we're watching 1906 Russia play out before our eyes, and as in Russia, nothing serious seems to be done about it. And it's not just Antifa. Antifa, this incident we're watching on the camera here, this is a street level version of a phenomenon that extends much, much higher. I'm thinking here of consent decrees and the way that whenever a leftist activist sues the government to force the government to do something that it actually wants to do, the government will enter into a settlement, get a decree entered against them, forcing them to do what they wanted to do all along. And it's hard to conclude anything separate is going on here. If it's not being stopped, it's because someone in the government wants it to go on.
Yeah, precisely. Like I said, they are continually allowed to break the law without any consequences and get rewarded for it. And there's really no change until that's reversed. There's really no change until the laws are enforced to the fullest possible extent, and people pay a serious consequence for doing this. Right now, they're just taking orders from the other party, as you said.
Yeah, and speaking of them committing violence in these kind of, as to borrow a phrase, and this isn't a phrase that the left originated, or word that the left originated, but it is, they did kind of take use of it in a stochastic form. We have a clip of them threatening the families of ICE agents, who we see here once again capitulating to their demands.
I'll kill your whole fucking family! Your whole fucking family's dead! Come on! Your children, your wife, all dead! Punch it! My boy! I have your face, motherfucker! You're dead! Dead! Boys to back up and put your stick down, because I'm about that life. You say come on? You say come on, right? Yeah, small now. Put your stick down, tell your boys to back up. I'm about that life, my boy.
Yeah, so I mean, besides the kind of low IQ blathering coming out of this guy, this is a kind of a phenomena. I mean, that this is being related to, in my mind, in Finland. There's always been organized crime as long as there's been criminals and governments, and in Finland, the understanding between the police and the mafia was that if you're in the game, you're a fair target, but somebody's family was not a target. And this all changed when the demographics of Finland started to change, when they started getting organized crime from Africa and the Middle East, and suddenly the families of police officers became fair game. So the Finnish police pretty much stopped enforcing the law against these new this new crop of immigrant mobsters. Now, this is something similar we see here. These people, they don't have anything like a Western ethos. They don't have anything like they're just animals, right? They want their way, and if they don't get it, they'll kill whoever they can. And as we see these mobs Antifa becoming more emboldened, because once again, and I don't hate to harp on this because people really need to understand this, the Trump administration is not doing anything to stop this. The token efforts that they make, the little shows that they put on, they're not stopping this. They're not cutting it out root and branch. They're just placating us until Trump's out of office. And then it's not his problem anymore. But it's still going to be ours. So the question is, because these types of people, these progressives, these lunatic progressives in the past, in history, whether you want to call them communists or not, they don't stop with law enforcement. They turn very swiftly on the population once they feel that the law enforcement is no longer stopping them. So I guess the question is, how do right-thinking Americans defend themselves against this sort of thing? Because it does seem like it's only getting worse when they do start turning on just the citizenry, and they can't rely on the police to do anything other than protect the mob.
That's a great question. Well, I mean, obviously, you just need to have your own sort of personal protection, or you probably have to think really hard about, you know, where you're going to set down your roots. At some point, we have to stop running and ceding ground, but also you have to just be wise about certain things there. One of the things that strikes me about this clip is that critical theory growing out of the Frankfurt School and all of that, sets up this oppressed versus oppressor kind of dialectic. And I think getting more of this stuff on camera would be good. Getting more of just how organized they are on camera is good. How well equipped and funded they are on camera is good. I think it helps to break that down. And then I think we need to kind of push that narrative that the supposedly oppressed are the ones threatening some person's innocent children and wife. And the point of that would be to kind of break the moral gaslighting that makes it difficult for someone to have the will to actually do something about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the problem with that would be how do you distribute the message? But I guess also who to distribute the message to. I don't imagine that anybody that pays attention to politics on under the age of 40 doesn't already understand this, whether they see it as a good thing or a bad thing. But I suppose the most important thing that individuals can do is make sure you know your neighbors and you guys talk about these things and have a plan. This is why neighborhood watches began in the first place. I mean, it wasn't against organized progressive violence, but it was against certain type of violence beforehand, and now it just has to be reimagined. I know that the South Africans did something very similar to stave off their roving hordes just recently, if I'm not mistaken. What was that? 2018?
Yes, the missing ingredient here is solidarity. Americans' solidarity with each other was systematically dismantled in the 20th century, and we've all been turned into atomized individuals. But there was once a great deal of intermediary institutions that built and nurtured that solidarity. Fraternal organizations come to mind, once a facet of virtually every American's life, and now, a empty husk populated by the old and the dying. And it is this solidarity that the club exists to develop. We form fraternal bonds, we form networks of mutual support, and we unify ourselves again after we have been deliberately divided.
Yeah, and this is also an important an important thing to focus on is that these fraternal bonds are fractal in nature, and I'm borrowing this description from our very own Oberon Quinn. A brother of the OGC is engaged in a fraternity that is nationwide, but that just because that it then becomes incumbent upon every individual to bring that brotherhood into their personal life. And I don't just mean with other brothers of the club. I mean with building those neighborhood watches, with knowing your neighbors, with getting together with them and having the discussions. And I know that some people live in urban environments where this is a little bit more difficult, but for those listening who have the opportunity, and it's worth at least spending some time every month trying to get to know your neighbors and trying to work out some kind of mutual. I mean, you'll have to find more tactful words for it, but some kind of mutual defense framework.
Yeah, I think that's really crucial and key. It's one of the big things as Oberon pointed out that we've just lost is this idea that we would even know our neighbor, and it means you're going to have to give up some things to make time for that. Probably you'll have to give up your movie night every once in a while, or whatever it is that keeps you in your entertainment center as opposed to on your front porch. Somebody wrote a really great article about that. That American life moved from the front porch to the back porch to the entertainment center, and that loss of connection with one another is what makes us vulnerable to this kind of stuff. So I'm right with you on get to know your neighbors.
Well, I think that's enough watching this beardo on loop with his goggles. Speaking of the institutional backing for this kind of insanity, it looks like the Justice Department did manage to find a target that they wanted to bring in Hasan Piker. Now, I suppose if I'm going to be cynical and say, this guy is very, very out there. He's very well known. He's got a big name and a big audience. And so if you're going to make a show and make an example of somebody, this is a good way to do it in a way that is largely costless. If we're talking about the federal executive properly dealing with Antifa, and especially the Antifa guys that we just saw threatening ICE agents and making checkpoints, the federal executive should be responding to those people with legitimate, overwhelming violence. And of course, that's not happening. But what we have here is an optical way to attack a progressive superstar who is in this clip kind of giving the game away.
I think that ultimately the target is probably Singham and his operation from PSL to Answer Coalition to Co-Pink, like anything that he has ever financed. And it's not new. It's been around for a while, but it's obviously it's held through regardless because like it's ridiculous, right? It's like totally fucking ridiculous to try and to try and stop like the political advocacy of an American citizen, right? Roy Singham is a American citizen. He lives in China now, and he's a centimillionaire. I think he like has almost $1 billion. Not sure how much money he has now, but like he's been a funding vehicle for a lot of like political movements in the country, like a lot of activism, and they hate that shit. Like the American government hates that shit, so they're trying to jam him up. They're trying to hit him on anything and everything they possibly can. That's it. That's the goal here. That's the broader goal.
So for a little context, what our good friend Hasan Piker is referring to is that he is a part of this network that receives money from Neville Roy Singham. And you might think Singham, that's not really an American last name. Well, that's because Singham's father is Sri Lankan. And so he is this would make Neville Roy Singham, a paperwork American. And his family has been involved in the League of Revolutionary Black Workers since the beginning. So Hasan Piker is essentially admitting to being a part of this financial network where he receives money from this foreign billionaire in order to stir revolutionary spirit in the United States. And I don't know who didn't see this one coming, but what do you guys think about our good friend, Mr. Piker?
It's good of him to lay it all out for us. Let us not rush to celebrate an example being made yet. To this point, I understand Hasan's only received a subpoena, which means he's going to be called in to testify about this under oath, but I've not seen any reporting of any charges being laid against Hasan himself. But the operation he describes is illegal across many dimensions. Code Pink, Act Blue, all these organizations he's named. I haven't bothered to check, but I'm guessing they're not registering as foreign agents, taking money and support from foreign revolutionaries. So that's a problem right there. The fact that he's fomenting, violent insurrection in the United States is yet another problem. And I'm sure we'll get on to discuss Hasan's intercourse with the Cuban government in due course. But yeah, there are a lot of at once troubling and at the same time completely unsurprising things in this.
Yeah, I want to believe that the Trump administration is going to absolutely throw the book at him, that the subpoena will turn into a indictment and so on and so forth. That'd be great. That's exactly what we need to see happen. And I agree with you entirely that it needs to happen at the street level with people who are breaking the law. But certainly a big name like Hasan Piker, who is, let's be clear, like fomenting revolution against the United States government using foreign money that cannot stand. And I'd love to believe the Trump administration is really going to go after that. I hope they do.
Yeah, I'm into that. We can always hope, but we'll see how it shakes out. I'm not sanguine on these sorts of things. But so I wish we had Dave on for just this question, though I'm sure he would make a great guest for any of these other topics. Is Hasan Piker considered a part of BreadTube? Is that when he started his rise?
My understanding is he joined BreadTube after being fired from the Young Turks. At least that's my own headcanon.
Okay. So I mean, isn't like Cenk Uygur his like uncle or something?
Yes,
well, I mean, if you get
Cenk.
fired from your own families,
that's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah. Well, either way.
Well, you remember what he was fired for. He was fired for saying that the U.S. deserved 9/11, which, there is a right-wing lens through which that argument could be supported, but nevertheless, that was the instigating incident.
All right, so I guess I mean it was a different time back in the late 10s, so I suppose that makes a little more sense. Though I'd have a hard time imagining a progressive getting fired for saying that these days.
Indeed.
But I mean, this kind of goes. I mean, we all knew that BreadTube and the affiliated content creators were completely astroturfed. They appeared out of nowhere. They suddenly had hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of followers. Obviously, Piker started somewhere else, but I'm thinking Vosh and the one that Dave loves, the Troon ContraPoints. But this astroturfing from various billionaires, it's one of these things where it's kind of boring now to say that I wish the right wing had people that were willing to put their money down to actually get something done. But there you go, the leftist network here. Hopefully, even if they don't make an example of Piker, which we all want. If he's just going to be testifying about Singham, if the United States government can make an example of him, it might be more worth the squeeze than making an example of Piker himself.
It certainly would, though I struggle to understand how we would make an example of him when he's living in China.
Well, maybe we can trade them a basketball player or two. I don't know. All right, Mr. Piker, get your ridiculous face off my screen, if you don't mind. I mean, speaking of foreigners being, embedded into our political system, the board of the Heritage Foundation, of course, they're referring to American heritage with, you see the Liberty Bell back here, just brought on Yoram Hazony, the paragon of heritage American values, onto their board. Mr. Quinn, are you familiar with this man's body of work?
Passingly, he's the Israeli gentleman who has been pushing a neutered form of nationalism as a form of containment, is my assessment.
Whose nation?
He doesn't say.
Curious that. Well, here we see him looking like a cross between Bill Gates and a goblin. So I appreciate him kind of wearing that on his sleeve. But this is, now correct me if I'm wrong. Was it not the Heritage Foundation that recently had the Shabbat dinner fiasco?
Yes.
That was indeed the Heritage Foundation.
All right. And here we go, as if in recompense for denying that some of their Christian fellows would be attending this heretical dinner. They elect this man to be a part of their board. So, I mean, this is a larger thing that we're seeing in the traditional or the neocon or the, what did I hear it referred to? The Chamber of Commerce Republicans, where it seems like our greatest ally is starting to realize that they don't have a future in the United States with the youth that are currently here. So they're just trying to lock all the doors into the existing infrastructure to kind of ensure that the youth doesn't get a say for as long as possible. Now, this seems to be a desperate strategy for me, but what do you guys think about its effectiveness?
I am serenely confident that the boomers will rise up and prevent them from locking out the younger generation from the levers of power.
Yes, they're very well known for making sure that they pass the torch as soon as it is appropriate and not waiting a moment longer.
Very generous in that regard. Yes. No, actually, I think that, I mean, this is just another great example and argument for something that Oberon touched on earlier, which is people should get involved with their local OGC chapter. All those doors are being locked. They're going to make sure of that. And so, frankly, as you said before, not me, not you, or maybe it was Oberon who said that these places are kind of like a husk of themselves, you know, filled with older folks. There's a lot to be optimistic about. You know, the youth and the energy is with us, is with places like the OGC. You know, the important thing is to not get captured by some alien ideology. And so, yeah, join your local OGC chapter and help to make it an awesome place. And then have your OGC chapter work in the community. You know, become a group of guys that's known about caring about the heritage and the history and the communal spirit of the place where you live.
Indeed. A frequent refrain here at the OGC is no one is coming to save us. Now, you can look at that one of two ways. You could look at that as a black pill. No one is coming to save us. What are we going to do? Or you can look at it as a white pill. No one is coming to save us. We have the power. It's up to us. We are the actors of history. This is an era in which we are called upon to take up the mantle of history and drive it forward, and no one else is going to do it for us. And that's, on the one hand, intimidating, but on the other hand, it is tremendously empowering. It is up to us. The spirit of the age is behind us, and we will take back America.
Absolutely. And on that note, am I allowed to shill?
Please do.
I think this is an excellent opportunity to shill.
On that exact note, the Sons of Wisconsin are hosting a conference coming up in September called Trust Not in Princes, or at least that's the theme. And we would like to have all OGC members who can come up and make it be here. You can find out more information from your chapter head. We are not giving a public sign up URL or anything like that. But we're going to have our very own Oberon Quinn here. We'll have George Bagby.
Wait, what? This is the first I'm hearing of this.
What? No, seriously?
No.
Love it. We get Dr. Stormy Waters, and finally, Aaron McIntyre as well will be the headliner for the event speakers. And, we're
I do hope I'm going first, because I would not wish to follow either of those gentlemen.
Indeed. Well, neither would I, but maybe one day, Oberon, you two will be a headliner. But yeah, the Sons of Wisconsin is an explicitly Christian chapter of the OGC, and if I may, the theme "Trust not in princes" comes from Psalm 146, and this is really good. It says, "Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth; he returneth to his earth. In that very day his thoughts perish. Happy is he that hath the God of Jacob for his help, whose hope is in the Lord his God." And the rest of the psalm goes on to describe how God executes judgment on behalf of those who are oppressed, and not in the Marxist dialectic for that, but that's us. That is Heritage America. And God works to rescue the righteous, which is to say those who trust in the Savior that he has provided. And, during my lifetime, the two most popular conservative presidents have been Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. And a lot of conservatives have put their trust in those guys and their abilities to rescue the country from trouble. But, meanwhile, our adversaries were certainly working on the ground to transform our cities and now our suburbs too into places that hate Heritage America, hate Heritage Americans. And the princes we trusted to rescue us have done little to nothing to stop that or to organize people. So we have a huge fight in front of us. We believe our trust should be in the Lord to help us. If we don't have him, we don't have anything. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. But here's a really cool thing. Jesus once said to his disciples, "The harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth laborers into his harvest." And he's talking about evangelizing, certainly. But the very next thing he does is he sends the disciples out to do it. And I think in a similar way, our trust is in the Lord for rescue and deliverance, and yet he works through men. He works through us. And so everything you just said, Oberon, we are the men of history. Absolutely. You and your brothers in your OGC chapter and all of us connected together, we are the ones who can get this ship turned around. So let's do it.
Indeed, brothers, trust in the Lord and dread not that possibly trust not in princes being sold out. Dread that. Buy tickets now. They're going to sell out. If you don't get it today, you're not coming.
That's right. I will say it's going to be a really great conference. We have normal tickets at a very accessible price. I think it's $195. You can upgrade to a VIP for a total of $350. The VIPs are going to go with the speakers to a fancy local restaurant that's connected to the unique, cultural heritage of Milwaukee. Certainly, you may want to, avail yourself of that opportunity. Milwaukee is beautiful as well, a great place to have a conference. We got a couple of great parks. There's Veterans Park up on the lake on the north side. There's a really wonderful park on the south side that doesn't get enough attention called Grant Park that's got these 7 bridges through this woodland walkway. It's beautiful if you get time to get away and enjoy the scenery. So yeah,
I can unreservedly assure the audience, and I speak from experience, that the restaurant we will be going to is well worth the price of the upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, amen to that. Be sure to check with your chapter leadership. They will be able to get you the information you need in order to join. And be sure to carry the shilling to your brothers. I see that there are about 120 of you in the audience. So word of mouth is the most important right now. So please do spread that far and wide. But bringing this back real quick, we discussed how this is kind of a desperate act and that a lot of these institutions are not in the process of being hollowed out, but have already been hollowed out. Now, I'm not necessarily speaking about the fraternal organizations that already exist that are filled with boomers who don't really know what's going on or really care. Those organizations have lots of assets that are up for grabs for anybody with the wherewithal to get some men together and move in on them. And I think that is one space where the boomers actually do want to pass the torch to the next generation. So you can be that generation. But of these more official organizations, the Heritage Foundation, these think tanks, these political organizations, and the GOP itself are hollowed out husks of political parties. And so this kind of, I think, cuts against entryism, because while the fraternal organizations are looking to pass the torch, these political organizations are battening down the hatches and pulling up the ladders and, doing all the Home Alone style traps with slicks on the ice and that kind of thing to make sure that the torch doesn't get passed. What do you guys think about political entryism?
Yeah, I mean, it's a two-edged sword. On the one hand, that's the places where the power is are the places where the power is. So if you want power, the most obvious instinct is to go to the places where the power is. But the trouble is that within those places, power operates according to its own logic. And that logic has demonstrated itself to be deleterious to our people over the last century. And unless you're the kind of character who is strong enough and dedicated enough not to be co-opted by the logic of the place you go, it's probably best to build your own thing rather than to try to take over someone else's. The long march through the institutions is something that the left pulled off, and the left, being very well aware of how they got where they were, are on guard against it. On the right, you have the pinnacles of power occupied by people who similarly have a long history of excluding those who are outside of their particular milieu. And so you're bashing your head against the gate there without a battering ram. And this is unlikely to be successful for anybody hard-headed individual. So as general advice to the brothers, if you want to engage with local GOP politics, every state is different. There are certainly places where constructive things can be done there, but the focus really needs to be on building the replacements for these institutions, not entering them, not tearing them down, but replacing them.
Yeah, I think political entryism is going to operate on the same principle that elite theory does everywhere and always. So if you're talking about like the national stage of political entryism, you're only going to be able to kind of come in and throw your weight around if you have some serious power already. In other words, they kind of feel like they need you a little bit to accomplish some goal of theirs. And at that point, you might be able to turn around and subvert things. I think here a little bit of how the quote unquote new Democrats of the 1990s, essentially did just embrace Reagan tax policy and said, as the Democrat Party, we just need to stop thinking that we're ever going to go back to the Jimmy Carter and previous days where we can have the top marginal rate at 75 or 80% or higher or whatever it was, 90%. And that's because they had enough power to say, you need us if you want to get if we want to put a president in the White House again, right?
This is the thing about horse trading. You need a horse.
You need a horse.
So
exactly.
We don't have a horse. We've birthed a foal. In the OGC, we are just getting started. But until we have a horse, there's nothing to trade and nothing to be gained on the national stage.
Correct. However, I think it is within reach of some of our chapters, perhaps, to think about 5-10 years down the road. Do you have a horse on a more local level? Now, like you said, it's going to take a kind of iron will to remain focused on the goal, the prize. And there's certainly people who, we want to take the lesson from Thomas Sowell that, as you said, organizations have their own logic and they tend to change the people that join them, not the other way around. So it will take a lot of resolve, but it may be possible to begin to acquire more than one horse over time if you are prudent.
Oh, it's just not maybe possible. It is possible and it will happen.
Yes.
But we have to do the work first.
Indeed.
And it is important to focus on the idea that the federal government, as it loses legitimacy, is also losing its ability to project power. and that's going to trickle down into a lot of places. And if we see breakdowns in supply lines again, but not caused from a punctuated event like COVID, I'm thinking more along the lines of just general decay slowly breaking things down. It's going to become even more important for communities to start looking inward instead of looking outward. And when they're looking inward, everyone's going to be looking for an organized group of men who can take care of things, as Pete likes to say, feed people and basically keep them safe. So you can be those men. We can all be those men. That's enough about with extra sinister Bill Gates here grinning on the screen. Man, we've just had a lot of really terrible characters to look at tonight. That's that's really something. So
Surely the next one will be uplifting.
Of course, at least I don't think we have to look at anybody's face for this one. So we're reaching back now to the bygone yesteryears, which I'm sure that anyone under the age of 30 will not remember. We're looking at Christmas 2020. So a full 6 years ago, or 100 years ago in internet terms. Now, some of you may remember after the very suspicious 2020 presidential election that a man in Nashville, Tennessee, parked an RV outside of a data center in downtown Nashville. And this RV was loaded to the gills with explosives. Some of you may also remember how odd that was. But here we see the blast site today, a full 5.5 years later, and the buildings are still in ruin. Now, for any other major metropolitan area in the country, this would kind of make sense to me. If it was in Detroit, New York City, places where that are past their peak and past their prime. But Nashville has seen a kind of rise to ascendancy over the last 5 or so years that makes this a little bit more surprising. So I'm wondering if this isn't just a general state of decay sort of thing in our major cities, or if I don't know if there could be anything more to this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be as simple as the property owner isn't in a hurry to build anything there. It could be a symptom of regulation. It could be a symptom of economic malaise. So that doesn't seem to be the case for Nashville. So it is befuddling.
Yeah, in my own village, there was a building that had a kitchen fire. They ran a restaurant there, and it stayed kind of burned out and whatever for I don't know, 5 or 6 years, and only just reopened. That said, if you look into the history of weird shenanigans around certain former Democrat presidents, for instance, from the 1990s, you find sometimes that things just lie uninvestigated or untouched or allowed to decay, as you just put it, for quite a long time. So if I was going to be, of the tinfoil hat variety, you might say that there could be an interest in people no longer caring about what evidence may or may not be able to be found there anymore before things move forward. On the other hand, you could say, well, if they really wanted to bury it, they'd allow somebody to rebuild over it right away. So who knows?
It is remarkable how this completely disappeared from the news cycle within hours.
Certainly is.
Yeah, it was a pretty big event, and while I don't make it a habit of watching network news, in fact, I don't think I ever watch network news or haven't in well over a decade now. I don't really remember this being on anybody's lips in my personal life. Now, obviously, the internet was abuzz with it, and especially if you are on places that that cater to the terminally online, such as 4chan or other sites of the like.
No, I wouldn't know anything about that.
No, of course not. But yeah, I just, this was an interesting little thing. Where are they now? Well, here they are, the buildings in that very suspicious bombing. And there is something, I'd say, morbidly beautiful about that kind of destroyed brick there. It's very reminiscent of some war photography. And there's something it's still better than the faces we've had to look at.
Is that a photograph? It's hard to tell that it is.
You mean because of the perspective?
I don't know. Something about it just looks illustrated.
Well, I mean, we are in the AI age, so for all we know, Nashville doesn't actually exist. Now, I've been there, but I haven't been there in a year, so who knows if it's still there.
Yeah, that's wild.
But moving from one, bombed out shithole to another, our illustrious producer stumbled across this little story that can only be described as the most disturbing thing that any of us have seen, well, I guess since last week. And he wanted to share it with all of us. Let's watch this clip here and we'll provide some context.
I was lost between borders. Norwegian citizen, born in Norway, stuck in India, living on the streets, surviving, being a tourist guide, smoking on the fucking roads. Don't you think I want to get some kind of adjustment against the government when I'm 33 years old, have zero schooling, they haven't done the shit that they were supposed to do? The Finnish embassy, when they helped me out of the country, they were supposed to report me to the children's services because I was under 18. Did they do their job? No, they didn't do their job. Thanks to them, I don't have fucking nothing. I even told the Norwegian government once I came back to Norway, I have no school. Then they should have fucking done some kind of research, find out why don't I have school? What's the reason? No fucking European, at least from a fucking one of the richest countries in the world, don't have fucking schooling. There must be a reason to it. Why they don't do fucking their background check? Because they know they are in the wrong.
So right back to the disturbing faces. I'm glad that we have a theme for this week's episode. But it is very jarring to hear that accent coming out of a white man without it being done for comedic effect. But I guess the context, absolutely. I guess the context here is that this man, as a boy, I think, was he 8 or something, was visiting India with his parents, and his mother was arrested for some reason, and his father decided to jump ship and didn't seem to be too interested in bringing his son along with him. So here we see a 33-year-old Norwegian man who actually grew up on the streets of India. Now, I'm not sure what city this is, but the very fact that it wasn't sold into some kind of slavery is some sort of miracle that can only be attributed to the Indians' innate fear of the Aryan appearance.
I think one of the things he picked up from their culture is the intense ability to grift and scam, because he talks about, I was just surviving. But he's surviving quite well if you look at him. And no school. And yet,
meals, no.
Yeah, no school, but he speaks English just perfectly, not simply Hindi or something like that.
Yeah, it's not like he's an American or an Englishman stranded in India. He's Norwegian, which education there is pretty good, and most Norwegians of my acquaintance speak English better than I do. But he is, by his own account, unschooled.
Yes. So I'm just saying, you might pick up a few things from the Indian culture. That could be one of them.
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, it's possible that he got that fat living on gutter oil, but I am told that this is actually it was on the streets of Bombay, which is the superior colonial name for the city over the why even bother trying to pronounce Mumbai when you have Bombay?
Certainly rings better for gin.
Exactly where I was going with it.
Do you know that they changed the spelling of Calcutta after the Brits left?
So it was named Calcutta, and they just changed it because they wanted to change something?
Yeah, so it used to be Calcutta, and now it's Kolkata, Kolkata, something like that.
Yeah,
I want to know where the hell Old Delhi is.
Yeah, it must be one of those places that got lost under a mountain of trash. I wonder if they'll excavate it in 20,000 years and think that there were actually humans that lived here. So this is our little all right, I'm gonna relate a story here. So I've got an Indian friend, and he is of the Kshatriya caste, which means that he is of the warrior caste. And of all the Indians I've ever met, he is the one that I can, befriend. It seems that the caste system has a lot to do with their personalities as well, and Brahmin are largely insufferable. But he told me a story of how he was narrowly he narrowly escaped abduction by one of the many street gangs that wander the tourist attractions in India, abducting Indian children, who they then blind with acid and put on the streets to beg until they are too old to do so anymore, and then they're promptly kicked out onto the street, mostly blind on their own. So, more flowers and puppy dogs out of the great superpower by 2030 India. All right. That's enough of that. Let's get on to our beautiful super chats, and we're getting started the right way with Solid Snake for $2 sends us a salute like a real American.
Real Americans.
Good to see you, sir, as always. City Breakdancer Man 10 for $5 sends us a salute.
Real Americans.
And following hot on his heels, our good friend Son of Haster, and not forget a brother.
Real Americans.
There we go. That's what I'm waiting for. Now on to the ones where we can actually talk about Johan Doe F9D for $4.99. Is it still a no-no in the OGC to say that Charlie Kirk was killed by Israel? I rephrase that a little bit. No, sir. It has never been a no-no.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it being a no-no either.
It's just one of those things where, it's there's just too much speculation.
I would never sit here and say that Israel wouldn't kill Charlie Kirk. And I will note that Charlie Kirk's death certainly seems to have served Israel's desires, if not its interests. But I will say that to the extent there were some quarters who were uneager to make that connection, it was, I would think, more of a tactical thing where we wanted to use that moment to crush the leftist terrorist network and didn't want the signal jammed by speculation about Israel's involvement. The focus was, at that time, was on Antifa and on the tranny who stands accused of shooting him. But although that was a legitimate tactical reason at the time, obviously the crushing of the left-wing terrorist network did not happen 10 months on here. So speculate away.
Precisely
yes,
said.
please.
I love it.
All right. Bolero 393. Welcome back, sir, for $5. To my fellow Americans, love, goodwill, peace, and goodwill. To our enemies, scorn, contempt, scant regard, and all the worst things in life. Well, I can't not agree with that. Salute to you, sir.
Yeah, I think, it would be great to convert our enemies. Some of, the most powerful, most rhetorically powerful people are those who've come over from evil to good. But
gentleman named Paul comes to mind.
Indeed. And so, but for those who refuse, for those who love darkness and evil, certainly we hope that they fail in their efforts.
They will receive their reward from their Father.
Indeed.
Amen to that. Barney Boyle, $69.33 for $4.99. I wonder where those pennies go. Anyway, I'm sick of endless recitations of cultural defeats that never end with, so here's what we're going to do about it. I agree with you, sir. And luckily, what we're going to do about it is exactly what we're doing by building up this network. This show, of course, exists only for entertainment purposes, and the real work is being done on the ground by brothers all across the nation.
If you want to know what to
Nevertheless,
do about it, you need to come to the Trust Not in Princes conference held by the Sons of Wisconsin. Contact your local chapter head.
indeed.
Based.
For my own
Bolero.
part, when we win, Sandbatch will retire to his villa and write poetry.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, do we give him a villa or do we give him a shack? Because I mean, okay. This is kind of an aside, but you know, Sandy, love him, tortured artist. If we remove the torture, will he still be an artist?
I think he needs to be tortured more.
I mean, there is an argument to be made.
Some have said, but I suppose it's whether you prefer Virgil or you prefer Flautus.
I would prefer that Sandy is fulfilled. And if that means heaping upon the torture, well, I guess we're getting into the weeds here. Bolero 393 is back for $10. The 2020s are here. The main characters of American history are back on the stage. Join your local OGC chapter, if they'll have you, to move the story forward.
Hear, hear.
Welcome to the stage of history.
David on the Bayou for $10. Salute from Beauregard's Bayou crew of Louisiana. Shilling for South Central Forum Conference on August 8th in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Great speakers and barbecue, like real barbecue. Reach out to your chapter or central. We can just do things.
We can indeed, and we are just doing things, as evidenced by the proliferation of conferences in the coming year. It used to be, there was Central's conference, and that was the only game in town. But now all these chapters are spinning up new conferences all over the place. We are going to be thoroughly conferred.
Yes, and lest it need to be said, these conferences, they're fun. They're a good place to socialize, but it's where the brotherhood between the chapters that don't get to see each other very often are built and plans are being made.
It's been said that I've heard people say that, sometimes they go to things like this and there's a kind of networking rat race that gets caught up in it, the headliners, the speakers sort of want, maybe want to keep their distance from the riffraff, and the riffraff are constantly looking to get together or to get more clout. But our hope for the Trust Not in Princes conferences is that it would be a very brotherly scenario in which, maybe people show some respect and not try to be, too clingy to the speakers. But on the other hand, that the speakers would seek out maybe the lowliest looking guy in the room and get to know him. And that would be a great thing.
I am of the cringe walker school that when you go to a conference, you hug the speaker.
Oh, very cringe. Yeah, I love that.
Yes, I mean, while it is true that familiarity breeds contempt, and that is an important thing to keep in mind, it is even more important to keep in mind that these things are not about clout chasing. We are not e-celebs. This is not about increasing our own notoriety. This is for a purpose, and that purpose is for the edification of all our brothers. Let it be so. Seasider 01 coming back again. $10 and a salute. Well, salute to you, sir.
Real Americans.
All right, and to round us out for the evening, Bolero 393 for $5 dues. Anti-colonialism would have a lot more weight if you could drink the tap water in decolonized places. Yeah, that's.
Well, I will say this, Bolero. The Norwegian gentleman in Mumbai did not appear to be cursed with an excess of intestinal flux.
I mean, we don't know that. His protruding gut could be the result of a very nasty tapeworm.
Oh, that's a good point.
Just a little mental image to leave in our listeners' brains as we sign off for the evening. All right, and since the weekly slop has been thrown into the trough, let's get us some shilling, Mr. Quinn.
American Spirits every Monday. Listen to Back Me Talk and me trying to get a word in edgewise.
You're gonna get a lot out of listening to that too. So
will indeed.
It's always worth the effort. And obviously Midwest Forum. But Mr. Noir, is there anything else you'd like to show?
Yeah, absolutely. So my Twitter handle is Paladin Noir 77. That is not a Thomas.
You're missing a 7.
I know it's not a reference to that, but it's a reference to original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, actually. And I haven't logged in since March. So please do hit me up, but I have been a little bit disconnected for a while because a big personal project I'm undertaking. Once that is finished, sometime around July or August, I hope to maybe do some streaming of my own. So maybe you'll see me.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us, sir. And thank you for letting all the brothers know that the Midwest Forum is coming up, as well as the Southern Forum. And there is one in New England as well, if you are looking to get up to the, well, I'll let the Virginians have this. But if we're one of the earliest places of America, please contact your chapter leaders and leadership and whoever would be in the know about these sorts of things. And you too can participate in New England's beauty. Be sure to check out the chapter house and always come back for more slop. Thank you all for listening.
How many more chapters do you have to get through before we have to go round again?
Next week, barring any catastrophes, will be the last new chapter of this cycle. And we will begin again.
Super.
That can't be so, seeing as we just approved another new chapter this week.
Oh,
well, there we go.
Got.
I walked right into that one. All right. In that case, 2 weeks. Unless you looking to get your chapter spun up are listening, you get that paperwork in by the end of next week. Well, maybe we'll see you on. For Pony Express Radio, we are the Old Glory Club. Thank you.
When I pass on my good genes to my sons, they're going to join the Old Glory Club.